like this, unprecedented times like this, that's really what the most important thing is our health and our well-being. So with that, I hope everyone is safe and sound. We will get through this. We just have to keep moving, keep the economy moving, and keep each other moving. So today, we are going to be talking about some COVID-19 research, what we've been seeing on the conductor end out there, just from a search perspective. We're also going to be talking about why, search is more important to ever. Working from home, I'm going to talk about some tips and tricks that I have. I've been working from home, regularly, for a few years now. And we'll talk about how, because I've been getting a lot of questions about that. How, the day that you're at home or like when you work from home for extended periods, how do you make it feel like you're, like a little bit more of a normal day? And of course, this is, a lot of this is new to a lot of people here, so we'll be talking about that. Also been asking for a lot of folks have been asking me, what should I be working on? It's, again, a lot of things are on pause right now. A lot of things are on hold. A lot of uncertainty out there. So people want to know what they should be filling their days with if a lot of their programs got put on pause. And I'm going to talk about a little couple of things going on in the industry. Barry Schwartz put out a vote just to talk about, just kind of start the conversations about should Google stop algorithm updates during the outbreak, just to not further harm or, and any other industries. But again, we'll talk about it all, but let's get into it because we only have 30 minutes. Number one, we did some research on COVID-19. Stefan Bajile, our chief evangelist, spent countless hours, let's call it countless hours, putting together, a Searchlight account that only targets, COVID-19 type keywords. He spent a lot of time on this. It's really great. It has over 20,000 keywords in it, and we were able to extrapolate a lot of interesting findings from this. And also, Conductor has conducted a survey asking a lot of marketers at all different levels what they believe will be happening to their budgets during all of this, and the results from that have been pretty interesting. But let's get into the stuff that we were able to pull out of the account that we started a few weeks ago. Number one, out of those 20,000 keywords, right? So the topics that folks are searching for, of course, the vast majority, almost half, about just over 9,300 keywords. We're searching about the virus itself, mainly, coronavirus, and COVID-19 and terms related to that, using the name of it, which is not surprising. News, of course, right behind that, just over 9,100 terms. People searching for news around it and all different variations of that all over the world. A lot of stuff that we saw was localized. For example, coronavirus, West Virginia, coronavirus, New York City, coronavirus, near me, things of that nature. So every city pretty much in the country, comes up. We thought about that just to see, localization of those types of searches. But overall, overwhelming, unsurprising, people searching for the virus and news on the virus. Then going down from there, people were looking for, business news, business updates. These have things like, what's going on in the stock market, with, COVID or coronavirus, attached to it. Then prevention, which was around 1,000, and I'm sure as time goes on, that will continue to increase. The economy was after that, and then everything else was kind of dubbed into there. But as you can see, the vast majority of folks, over the last couple of weeks, have been searching, for the virus itself and news about it, which is unsurprising. Then followed very closely by business type terms. And then prevention, the economy, and things of that nature. So nothing surprising there, but, I thought it was going to be a little bit more balanced, between, like the business and the economy piece. I thought that was going to be a much larger piece of the pie. But, right now, the other big thing is that 93% of these searches are new, you know what I mean? So a lot of them, just around 20,000 of them, have zero MSV. And what that is because a lot of these searches have never been searched before, right? There isn't a ton of search volume around these types of things because this came up so quickly, when you think about it, that people started searching about it probably only really starting at the beginning of this month. So we don't have maybe a couple of weeks before that. so we don't have all the MSV, which is an interesting thing to say. Is think that of all of the keywords that we have in this particular account, most of them don't have MSV yet. So that's pretty interesting as well. But also that that about 1,600 of the keywords, the historical search of just that 7% is over 14 million search volume. So you can take that. So obviously that has to do with what you saw on the previous slide of, news and, just virus specific terms, like just about the actual virus itself. But just those alone. And again, think about that. Over 20,000 keywords that haven't been, we can't assign an MSV yet to, although we, pretty confident that we know that people are searching those terms. But that whole demand of just that 1,600 keywords is over 14 million. So just imagine where next week, where it will be next week, and then the weeks after that. So all of these things are going to continue to compound on one another. And then another thing, kind of doing all of that, 59%, so about 8 million of the MSV there, and going back to that original chart in the last slide, are, virus-related searches, and then 29%, 4 million of those of the MSV are the business-related searches. So that's interesting as well, that of the ones that we do have search volume for, it kind of flips a little bit, and you see the virus-related terms, but then you see the ones that do have are the business-related terms, and then the news. And that makes sense to me simply because, listen, every business out there is figuring out what to do, right? How conservative should we be? What should we do about our budgets, our digital budgets, our marketing budgets in general? You have a lot of folks who are, I'm sure everyone saw the unemployment rate today, historic highs, over 3 million people filed for unemployment. But when you think about it, never have we had, just restaurants shut down and the gig economy, completely shut down. So when you look at that, it's staggering. And, looking at this, people, business leaders, have been talking about this, once it started to surface in the world and you start to hear about this, people, and then we started to hear, hey, it's going to make its way across the world. Business leaders had to start thinking about what to do. And that's when they started to search, which was probably last month, sometime in February. And then that's why we can assign search volume to that. And I'm sure once we get to download app, next month, I'm going to be redoing this again to see how these trends have changed next month. My guess is we're going to see a very, 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 very interesting picture there, much more spread out picture there as people, make these tough decisions on where to spend the dollars that they have. Because of course, in times like these, everyone's going to be conservative. Some industries are getting slammed right now, travel and hospitality. Of course, my heart goes out to folks in those industries right now who are dealing with this. And for this, that's kind of where you start to get into the survey that we sent out, and just asking what people are seeing out there in regards to that. So because when you look at that, when you look at all of the searches that we've looked at, 80% of them are in the travel related. So, and a lot of that has to do with, people, of course, flights are grounded or, for the most part, people canceling and things of that nature. A lot of that was in the travel sector, which of course, at this point makes sense as people were canceling trips, people were canceling flights, people were canceling hotels and things of that nature. But even beyond that, you can see, general terms about this, but then, the plan and policy types, insurance industry, or insurance related terms, just under 5%. And then you have prevention, people working from home. That is something that we're going to talk about in the next few minutes, about how I think that this is going to change the work from home culture, or just the way that businesses look at work from home. And then, of course, customers, the box office, post office, Bill Gates. If anyone doesn't remember, Bill Gates, foresaw this happening many years ago in one of his TED Talks, which is being played over and over all around the world right now. That he said that some type of pandemic would come, and here we are. Of course, Donald Trump is in there, and then just shopping in store, and that's just things like, and that's just right now. I'm sure, again, we're going to see a much different picture a month from now. but interesting to see where the trends began, and then we can compare them against to one another. And then kind of going out there. So as I said before, Conductor is conducting a survey right now. These are the most up-to-date results. We pulled them last night. We have this kind of going, just open and going. We'll be releasing a longer white paper in the coming weeks with a lot more detail on this data. But I wanted to grab it because I think a few of the questions yielded some really interesting answers. So one of them was, what were your top performing online channels in 2019? As you can see here, organic by far, wins that, followed by, email marketing, just inching out paid search. So, and then content marketing, digital advertising, things of that nature. But you can see that, of course, unsurprisingly, organic, paid, and email are the top three. And, it's interesting to see because these days, I think a lot of people, and a lot of businesses and a lot of business leaders are thinking about, what has their investment in SEO or organic search been over the years? Had we planted more trees, over the last couple of years, would we be in a better spot right now? Of course, some industries, there was no avoiding what's happening to them right now, but, many folks are like, could we have invested in organic search to tide us over? And I think that moving forward from here, we're probably going to see a little bit of a different attitude towards organic search because, of course, when you're thinking of budgets, paid search is going to be the first to get tightened. Email marketing, people are still home and working, so that's good. But will it be as effective? Will they have as much money to do those blasts? But organic search, out of all of these, is probably one of the lowest, or most, one of the lowest in cost effective investments versus the ROI that you get from it, because it just kind of keeps going. It's a pretty stagnant investment most of the time. And then from there, but you get so much out of it, and it keeps working for you, even if you have to turn it off, or you don't do as much, or you just focus in on it. It's very low cost to keep it running and to keep it moving. So I think we're going to see a lot of different attitudes towards it, and this one actually kind of speaks to that as well. Will SEO be more or less important during this time? 33% of folks said it will increase slightly, and then 29.5% said it will increase steeply. So, of course, well over, half of the respondents, and there was a few hundred in here, again, folks in companies all over, of all different statuses within a company. I think it's interesting to see that, people are, people are saying, yeah, we're gonna focus more time in on this. And, and then from there, some people still don't know, 20% no, it will remain the same. And then 2.2, will it decrease? It will decrease. And then 1.8, it will decrease. So very few people are going to decrease their investment in SEO right now. If anything, we're probably going to see the opposite during this time, is that many more people are going to be investing in it. So for all the SEOs on the phone and all the folks who are in charge of organic search on the phone, I think that's something that we all need to be considering, is that, people are going to be looking to us right now, looking to us, listen, if we have, a tighter budget, is this really the best investment for the company? And I think we all know that the answer is yes. Of course, that's not taking away anything that any other channel is doing, but this is our time to really step up and say, hey, listen, like, this is why SEO is so important, and, during times like this, we can keep us afloat, using this and working with this. And I think this is very encouraging to see that people will continue to invest in the channel and people will continue to invest in us. And I think that that's something that we all kind of have to take to heart, is that, we can really help out our companies. We can really help out people here while also proving a point that a lot of people and a lot of us have been trying to prove and continuously proving over the last, several years, is that we are a very important channel. We can help businesses through tough times, and we can help them kick ass through great times. We work well with every other channel, but we can also fill in for when other things can't be paid for. And I think this is an amazing opportunity for us to step up as a community and say, here's what we've been talking about, and here's why this is important. So it's good to see that people believe that they are going to increase, their focus on it, and very few are going to decrease their focus on it. And again, there's a myriad of different reasons why people would do these things, but that's something to keep in mind. And then finally on this, before we get into the next thing, how would a global recession impact your marketing strategy? And as you can see, of course, a lot of people say we will lower our budget. That's not surprising. We will raise the bar. We will reduce the size of our team. We will, invest in high-cost channels like paid media, which is interesting that people are thinking about investing more in paid search. We will invest more in digital marketing in general. And then the last one that we see here is that we will specifically invest more in more lower cost channels like SEO. And, that's over 30% of the companies. And I said there's hundreds in here, so that's nothing to sneeze at. Is that, a lot, I think after this and during this, while, I think a lot of people are going to start, thinking about organic search a lot more seriously or a lot more than they have in the past. And I've had customers and folks calling me. I've been trying to help people, pro bono, who are having trouble with their business, regardless if they're a conductor customer or not. Just help them, especially a lot of the local businesses here in Wantagh and Long Island, where I live. Just trying to figure out how, and I think a lot of those folks, and I've had a lot of people say to me, man, I wish we'd been having this conversation 6 months ago, a year ago. And while that's completely understood, I think after this, we're actually going to see a boom of interest in SEO. Right now, when you look if you go on LinkedIn, even, you can see companies are already posting a lot of jobs for SEOs. We saw that trend starting this week. And, it's not, the hire date is pushed out a few months, of course. But at the end of the day, you can see that people are already starting to ramp up their idea or their efforts here because they know it's something that's important. So that's something to keep in mind. Next month, I hope you join me again. I will go through, I'm going to update all of these, and I'm going to see what the difference in the trends are, and then we'll see what the difference is. Maybe it stays consistent. Maybe we see a jump here and there. But I thought that all of this was super interesting just because we're right, because we're kind of in the throes of all of this right now, to see what it looked like at the beginning and then what it will look like in the end, and to see how people's idea about SEO and thoughts about SEO will change over that time. So that's definitely something that I'll keep you up to date. And then just kind of going soapboxy for a minute, which, I don't do too often. I more rant. It's more that, why search is more important than ever. And this is something that I've been talking to a lot of folks on. And, Stefan Baggio and I, our chief evangelist, again, are doing a daily program called Search from Home, and the link is later in the presentation, where we just started to talk about this last week. Man, these are the times where search really comes on, and there are many reasons for that, right? Organic and content initiatives are always on. We were talking about that in the first episode, and we wanted to get the community together. We're not trying to sell anything on the program. We're literally just trying to get people together to talk, stay connected, and to kind of keep us all in this together. And I think that people are going to realize that, when times get tough, SEO is always on. Organic search is always on, right? And I think the other thing is that all of us as folks who are either directly in charge of SEO or SEO is under our umbrella, I think they realize that we are pretty good at pivoting and reprioritizing, because that's what we do every single day as Google changes. So while this is something that we're all banding together to get through, pivoting to different initiatives and being creative and things of that nature. This is what SEOs do. This is what we do every single day, and we can deal with these things, and we can help other teams within our companies deal with these things and kind of pivot on that. And right now, I think something else that we all have to realize is that people are home and they're searching for answers and they need help. And what we're doing right now is we're creating content that helps our customers. Each of us, regardless of what industry we're in, our customers need help right now, and our folks need help even internally. And we should all be creating content that is helping them, and that is forward moving, that is giving them, hey, here's what's going on with us. Here's how we're thinking about it. Here's what's happening with our business. And, because again, we're not trying to capitalize on this in any way, shape, or form. We're all trying to help each other survive. Every business that we talk to and every business that we interact with and every person, we're all just trying to survive through this thing so that we can come out on the other end and just continue doing what we love every day and working with the people that we love working with. So from there, you'll also have, going back to the research before, is that, SEO, as I said before, one of the most cost-effective investments compared to just about every other digital marketing channel. It's fairly stagnant investment, depending if you have an in-house team, you have an agency, you have a hybrid, technology, and services firm or SaaS Plus. Everyone has a flavor that works for them, and typically, the amount that is invested as SEO is a drop of what is invested in paid search or email marketing or even paid social ads and things of that nature. So I think, again, we're going to start to see a shift there of people realizing that and business leaders realizing that. And I think we're going to have a lot more to work with after this, but we're all got to get through it first, of course. And then, of course, the other thing is that what we create now will help us in the long term. Right now we can plant trees right now, and those trees will grow over time, and we can help our business, be better. We can help our business, do better and help people, and that content will help us, moving forward. It doesn't all have to be about, what's going on in the world and the coronavirus right now. It's just about what, outside of that, what else have we been kind of putting off, that we should be doing right now, and I'll get to that in a couple of slides. But right now, we all have to be thinking long term. I know we're all thinking short term right now, but we have to make it a mixed bag. We have short term initiatives, but also we still have to think about the long term health of our businesses and our teams and our industries. So we need to contribute to that, and that's something that I think everyone should be thinking about as well. And then, of course, the big thing, another big change for folks, is working from home for extended periods of time. Right. And now I've gotten a ton of calls and a ton of questions because, after my son Declan was born, which was 3 years ago, I started to work from home, fairly regularly. I work home, at least once a week. And, finding that balance is not always the easiest for a lot of folks, especially for people who go into an office every day and feed off energy of other people around them. So just a couple of things that I do. The big one is get ready every day like you're going to work. Get dressed. Take a shower. It sounds silly. Eat lunch. A lot of people, forget that. Since they're at home and there's no commute, you just kind of wander. I'm in my spare bedroom right now, which I call my warehouse. Just because it's like all of the random stuff that's not in the rest of my house has all collected in this room. And I come in here at 8:30 in the morning, and I remember the first week I didn't leave the room until almost 9 o'clock at night, just because you lose time. And it's like, holy crap, I got to start coming up with a routine here. And so another thing that I do, is create a daily changeover routine. So what I mean by this is this is setting a start time and an end time to when you start and stop working. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. Nothing wrong with it at all. And that's really, a lot of people feel guilty for signing off because they're at home. It's just this weird thing. I felt it for a long time. I still feel it sometimes. But for the most part, make sure that you have, you're telling yourself hey, I'm going to get dressed. I'm going to go downstairs and make a cup of coffee. I'll walk outside, take a breath. And then when I go back inside, I'm at work. And then afterwards, you go outside, you crack a beer or whatever it is you do after work, and you go outside, and then when you come back in, work is over. It's like creating the same thing. It's basically replacing your commute. So that's what I do. And again, remember, it's okay to sign off. A lot of people feel this guilt that they don't sign off, but that they sign off because, well, I'm working from home, all this. I can, work a little bit longer, but remember, you have family, you have friends. Go FaceTime your friends and go download the House Party app and go play trivia with your friends and make it like a regular night. I did the other night. It was a hell of a lot of fun, and it made me feel connected again. Again, also remember to eat and remember to exercise. A lot of times, people's commutes, I walk 2 miles a day, to and from the office, from Penn Station down to our office up 33rd, back and forth, it's about 2 miles. And that's exercise that's built into my day that is no longer here. So make sure that, you get into an exercise routine. You don't want to become sedentary. You want to make sure that you're staying active and you're feeling good, both physically and mentally. And then, kind of getting into, a couple of the last things, because I know we have a bunch of questions. Big question I've gotten is, what should I be working on? Because a lot of things are shut down, a lot of things are paused. To me, I always look down my to-do list and what's the stuff I never got to. It's a great time to work on projects that I've been putting off. A lot of the, the day-to-day grunty SEO work that maybe you've been putting off because there's another big boulder project that you've been trying to work on. Or maybe this is a way that you can use this time to promote search to other teams that may not have been open to working with you in the past. Go pull some data and see, hey, can you help them because their budgets are getting slashed and they may need to be really focused right now. Or maybe you send it up to an executive in your or up to your boss in your company and say, hey, listen, I know right now we have a lot of stuff paused, but here's something that we can work on that really won't cost us a lot, if any, extra money, and and try to highlight the search program at your company and just try to help out. And then again, the other thing is to contribute to the community, both online and offline. Online, I mean, for me, of course, it's the SEO community. When we started Search from Home, Stefan and I just wanted to get a bunch of people in the industry together to talk and hang out. That was it. That's the whole point of the show, is just to hang out and talk about stuff. And we've been having a lot of fun with it this last week. But also, if you've ever wanted to write for a site like Search Engine Journal or Search Engine Land or things like that, now it's time to maybe send out some emails, draft up some articles and send them out and see if you can contribute and see if you can get them posted, or you can drum up a relationship. I mean, Danny Goodwin from Search Engine Journal is a friend of mine. He's a great guy. He's always open to talking to everybody. And I have to get back into posting there, because I haven't done it in a while. Something I've been thinking about. And also offline, there's a lot of people who are struggling right now. If you can, support your local restaurants. My wife and I order out 3 times a week. We plan on it and budget for it so that we can continue to support the local businesses that can only do takeout around here. Wantagh has like 30 restaurants that are right around here, and they've been doing everything really responsibly, and we want to support them. If you can support your local, like I said, if you can support your local economy during the time, because we're all lucky for the most part that we can work online. Those folks cannot work online. So go out and support people who are really struggling through this time. And then finally, I just wanted to throw this out there. March 16th, Barry Schwartz, threw out a poll, should Google stop, search algorithms during the COVID outbreak? Surprisingly close. I thought most people this would be like an astounding yes, but like over 1,100 votes. I mean, that's pretty good. 58% said yes and 42% said no. And I think there's arguments on both sides. I mean, yes, we all know why, so that doesn't disturb businesses, during this time, especially local businesses. I mean, I think they did a good thing by not allowing reviews during this time. But also, that's another thing. If people are doing nurturing campaigns to get reviews for Google My Business, stop them right now, because you can't post anything right now. So that's money out the window. But also on the no side, that's things like, hey, let's try to keep some level of normalcy through this thing. We might be in here for another month or so, or longer. So let's make sure to keep that in mind as well. So I found that interesting. Again, I mentioned it a couple of times. If anyone has time between noon and 1 p.m., Stefan and I every day we do a program called Search from Home. This is not selling anything. This is literally just bringing people together to talk. We had Dwayne Forrester on today. It was a fun conversation. We had Lily Ray on yesterday. We have a bunch of guests that are coming on, and literally it's just a bunch of people shooting stuff and talking about search. People jump in, kind of like a call-in show. It's a lot of fun. It's through Zoom. So if you're interested, we do it every day from 12 to 1. And we would love to have you. We would love to have you. With that, that's pretty much today's episode. I'm going to try to get to a couple of questions. I know we're right at time, but I did see a couple of good ones. One that I think was that I'll have time to answer, and I'll get back to every single question here through email. Our company has been deemed an essential business in the COVID-19 season. Should we be creating COVID-19 specific content for this? We have a notice on our site, but how are other businesses handling this from a web content perspective? And this is great question, and thank you so much. I think this is a very important question that everyone, of course, should be addressing, what's going on, in their industry and how your company is responding to it. I'm sure everyone on here probably already has, but definitely should be looking for specific content to it as well. What are your customers worried about? What can you help them what can you help them do that is related to your business? Everyone should not go out and talk about the best way to wash your hands. That's not what I'm talking about. Make sure it's specific to your industry, and make sure that what you're doing is you're putting out the right information that makes sense for your industry and that helps your customers. This isn't the time to just go and try to get rankings for certain types of things. This is, as long as it makes sense, I would put out specific content if it makes sense, if it informs, and if it's correct. And that's kind of what I've been telling people, what I've been seeing a lot of people see. So so that's pretty much my advice there. If anyone has any questions through any of this, please reach out to me directly, Reinhart@conductor.com. I am happy to jump on the phone with you. I am happy to talk to you about your search programs. Whether you're a customer or not, I don't care. I just want to help people. So if you need help or you just want to have a quick conversation about something or a long conversation, shoot me an email, Reinhart@conductor.com. I am here to help, and I'm happy to. So with that, everybody, thank you so much for taking your time with me. I say it every month. This is my favorite part of my job, and I wouldn't be able to do it without you. Stay safe out there. We are all in this together. And remember, this will end. So stay positive, and we will see you next month.